The next system is called Edge Saver, and Edge Saver is similar, has the same components, but is really designed at stream banks and shorelines. This is the design manual section 2.5, and in there you'll find information on things like shear stress, testing that's been done on in-channel applications, and how the system reacts to shear stress via water flow. But it really is designed to armor banks and retain soil, and replaces riprap. So we have many applications here in the Lower Mainland where we've used this. Designers have put it in place of a riprap or rock application. At times we've seen the rock on the bottom, and we've seen this system on top as well. But again, it's similar to the living wall. Generally, it does have a geogrid component, and Filltrexx has a couple of geogrids that they use or they recommend. But then we also have used other grid as a component in it as well. Again, very low impact in riparian areas, and that's where we've seen it used very often. I'm going to reference a couple of tech links. Again, if you have this design manual from us, you'll find in the back a whole host of tech links, which are just technical articles that are really pointed at certain applications. So the one on the right there is hydraulic performance and design for channel lining and stream bank stabilization using low impact development design strategies. So it's really using this Edge Saver system, and it looks at testing that was done, I believe, at the one of the universities in Texas, and it looks at the shear stress and volume flow and how it reacts to this system. The one on the other side, using low impact development compost for stormwater management. But that's the Edge Saver system, and this can be found in your manual again, and specific design using different types of sock and different configurations. Again, one of the pull-out drawings from the manual that just shows typically how it could be installed, size of sock, grid if it's specified, the amount of layback or batter. Again, it's very flexible. The system, as you'll see in some photos coming up, very flexible. So the design could be this. There could be a multitude of other types of designs that are used. This is an application in Squamish, so a detention pond. It was a gray water detention pond, so right salt and fresh mixing. So this is what it looked like before, and what they did is use the Edge Saver system. So lined the entire system with sock, wrapped with geogrid, and then combined compost blanket and terra seeding to finish off the rest of the slopes. And in this application, the designer wanted shrubs as well, so we terra seeded with alder and elderberry and a few other shrubs, and they've done very well in that application. Another look, this is a job that we did in the city of Surrey, and was a bank that was armored. It was being eaten away by the channel there, so it was armored. So it was just a replacement for riprap. And again, it's wrapped. The entire thing is wrapped with geogrid and staked in, and then terra seeded on the top as well. Another application in Surrey where the designer wanted to see, again, a sock that would armor the vegetation portion. You have compost blanket above, and the entire thing is terra seeded, and then the stream complexed around. So it's really part of the design, integrated in the design from the beginning. I mentioned live staking, so just kind of an example of how the system is very receptive to vegetation because of the compost base and its ability to grow. So the possibilities are really endless in terms of vegetation establishment, and vegetation does well in it. The third type of third product that Filltrexx has is called Green Locks, and I mentioned that this is a full-on retaining system. So it is built around MSE principles, just like a block wall or a wire basket wall. and really designed using the same principles. So the only difference is that it has a green soft face versus a hard face. We see a lot of these going into developments along green space, riparian areas, where typically they face away from the development, but face into a park or that type of thing. We often are asked, what's the height limitations of the system, and we're typically up about 9 meters. We do have a couple of walls that are that high or higher. These are being built around the world now with Filltrexx. Actually, many of them in Australia and New Zealand that are being built. Again, the same method of installation. They can be terraceted or plugged. So vegetation is really an endless possibility for vegetation types. This is section 2.10 in the manual, and again it goes through all the design criteria and how you would design the wall, the situations that would be applicable for different types of walls. And again, it's just a standard CAD drawing. There's a whole bunch of them in there, just depending on the situation. But this is a full-on engineered system where there needs to be geogrid that goes back a certain length into the slope. And again, on the design side of that, we are happy to help with that. We do have a number of geotechnical engineering firms in the Lower Mainland that are also designing these with us, and so we do design build work with them, which includes all the design, the testing, and monitoring on them. But this is what they look like going in. So this is a site in Chilliwack where new development going in, and they needed to retain the slope. They didn't want to block or hard wall. You can see again how flexible it is. It's one of the big advantages is that the base prep for these kinds of walls is much more efficient because you are dealing with something that's flexible and kind of can bend to contours. You can see how it looks like just when it's starting to come in terms of vegetation. So this is just a grass seed mix that we used in this situation. But again, plugging with ivy or other types of vegetation would be easily done. This just shows you what it looks like when it starts to grow in, right? But really ties into the natural vegetation and the landscape nicely. Another situation, this is a project in Abbotsford that we just recently completed last January. So this is a cut and fill development, and so and what you see, the wall is actually facing a riparian area. So you can see what it looks like when it's just starting to green up. So 3 tiers. All the slopes in between these walls will be treated with compost blanket and terraceted, which is part of that system. But you can start to see what it looks like when it starts to grow in. So everything is blown in here with the blower truck, and as we're building, the material in this case was just filled behind it. Another project in Maple Ridge, again you can see just how it looks when it starts to grow in, and the vegetation starting to come. This is again backing onto a park riparian area, so it was really ideal, and the municipality I think really looked at it as being advantageous for this situation because it was very unobtrusive from the side of the riparian area. Again, what it looks like when it was grown in. So this is the following season. So again, the system grows vegetation very well and is really applicable for this type of situation. So that's what we wanted to cover today. Really was a primer to get you who are interested more to look into the design manual, because that's really where the information is in terms of design specifics. Again, we are happy to help with things like sock type and layout. We are happy to help with, for green locks, more the engineering side of it, and get someone involved who's who's qualified to do the actual geotechnical engineering.
Thanks everybody, and have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.